Michael, what do you think about the mood of the paddock? Because a lot of people has started to talk, against you.
Oh, Michael Schumacher. It seems to be that we found each other again in this series. As well regarded as Michael Schumacher was, and as great as Michael Schumacher was, you can't deny his villainous ways. We recently just covered Monaco 2014 with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton's qualifying incident when Nico was accused of deliberately causing an incident so that he could get pole ahead of his teammate. This investigation for Nico didn't go further than an investigation, and he was able to keep his position for pole. But let's take a look back to a few years prior to when Michael Schumacher in Monaco qualifying 2006 didn't get as lucky as Nico. This was a showdown for pole between Michael Schumacher and Renault's Fernando Alonso, who was leading the championship at the point. Michael did initially set the fastest time on track and had provisional pole. However, all that came to an end when Michael made a mistake, resulting in his Ferrari stalling, locking his front tire and parking his car against the barriers in the Rascasse corner, thus resulting in the yellow flags coming out. Alonso, who was completing his flying lap, was going faster than Michael on his run, and due to the yellow flag, it resulted in him having to abort his lap, resulting in Schumacher getting pole. However, Michael was not going to get away with it this time. While he said it was a mistake, a lot of people were not falling for that due to his history of mistakes, such as 1994 with Damon Hill and 1997 with Jacques Villeneuve. The entire paddock was in disbelief that this was an incident. Kimi Räikkönen said that he didn't believe Michael really had any problems. Renault and Alonso were rightfully upset. His former foe, Jacques Villeneuve, said, "I hope it was deliberate because if you can make a mistake like that, you shouldn't drive a race car." Sir Jackie Stewart reviewed the incident and said it was too obvious. If he had taken the front wing off, it might have looked better. So it's safe to say that questions were raised. The FIA proceeded to investigate this incident, having heard from Michael, other team members, and the race director. They came to the conclusion that there was no justifiable reason for the driver to have braked with such undue, excessive, and unusual pressure at this part of the circuit. Therefore, we are left with no alternative but to conclude that the driver deliberately stopped his car on the circuit. They not only stripped Michael of pole position, but he also had to start the race at the back of the grid, thus promoting Alonso to pole. Come Sunday, Alonso went on to win the race, and while Michael started the race at the back, he actually did end up having a great recovery race, finishing 5th, which is pretty good for the likes of Monaco since we know how overtaking is pretty much non-existent on that track. And that is the story of the Saturday qualifying session for the 2006 Monaco Grand Prix. What I find funny about this one is, of course, in hindsight, but it's when the incident happened, Keke Rosberg went on to say it was the cheapest, dirtiest thing I've ever seen in F1. He should leave F1 and go home. Only to, have his own son allegedly do the same thing a few years later.